Acceptance is inviting that child with a disability to the party. That is acceptance. You've accepted for them to come. You've opened your doors for them to come to the party.
Okay.
But what we fight for is called inclusion. What we push and advocate for is inclusion. So while acceptance is opening the door and sending them the invite to the party, inclusion is creating an atmosphere that invites them in to come and join you in the dance.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because you can be invited to a party and you're just put in a corner.
True.
But inclusion is now when you can actually, there's accessibility. If you're on a wheelchair, the dance floor is safe enough for you to come and move with your wheelchair. If you cannot, you have challenges with something, they have interventions to meet you there. I told you my wife went into depression. I told you how I felt about that. And I started being resentful. And it created a ridge between us. So the child comes in. For me, it was that misunderstanding. It was that depression that came in. I thought the mom now, which kind of mother is this? You know, I'd rather even marry someone else. You know, I'd rather get even a stepmom who loves the child, you know, but I'm just not getting it. But there was just a compounding of the problem. So by the time now you're saying, okay, space has become too much. Will you ever get another child? Because again, we don't have the space to be. So the conversation is starting at like 6 years, 6, 7 years, okay?
Hello, good people. Susie Uledadam, living positively regardless.
My government names are David Mbau. Most of my friends also know me as Baba Tumaini. That's my first daughter. So as I've already said about the daughter, so I'm a father, married to one wife. I have 2 daughters. The first one is 15 years old, called Tumaini, followed by the second one who is 8 years old, called Imani. You can clearly see these names are carefully and deliberately made to be so because I try to live in the context that we're in, and the context is being Africa. So I'm an African man trying to do everything in the context that God has set me in. So that was my experience. That was our experience. But now that was me. So when I say my wife was like 100 times worse than me, she was doing really badly. The emotional state that you're in, that I was in, let me say mine.
Yeah.
You're just angry 24/7. You want someone to talk about it with you, but you still don't want someone to talk about it with you. The emotions are all over.
Yeah.
You know? You don't want someone to touch on it. Immediately someone touches on it, is like they're opening a wound. And when there's no one to talk about it, you feel like, okay,
why can't I have someone?
Why can't I have someone? You know, so the lactation told me, number 1, that is already a challenge, that the child cannot suckle. Number 2, the mother is also into clinical depression. Her system is not even producing milk, or even enough milk for the child. And even the mother herself is not willing because she's depressed. So we had to, so I'm like, what? So that's one consultant. You'll go crazy if I just mentioned a few of the mitigations and the interventions that I got to realize very fast need to go into this child. There's intellectual disability. This child has a lot of developmental milestones, right? Speech is not coming. The child is not walking. The child started walking like at, I think, maybe 3.5, 4 years. Speech is not coming. Speech came like at 8 years. Wow. And that's not speech, those are words. muscle tone is so low, the child, even that's what makes it hard for them to start walking. Muscle tone is so bad, and intellectual disabilities, so motor skills are hard to come by. Intellectual disability, you can't, grasping nothing in school, because she's not getting it yet,
Yeah.
So let me just break them down into from intellectual disability. So you need a speech therapist. For the muscle tone, you will need a physical therapist. For social skills tied to intellectual disability, you'll need an occupational therapist. For the heart with a hole, for thyroid issues which come with the condition, for reproductive issues, for the gut problem that comes, you need a medic, not just a medic, you need a pediatric professional for special conditions. Okay? Ujachoka bado, you try, I want my child to start going to school. Even if they're not getting, I just want the social system for being in a school setup so that she knows how to live with people, and maybe they'll push her. So you can't just, you need special education. You need a shadow teacher.
Yeah.
All these people are not your relatives. They're doctors, and they have fees that need to be paid. And you cannot postpone some of these things. So you have to start these things early. And in this space, what even now I throw out to the parents, the earlier you start interventions with your child, the better the outcomes later on in life. And the more you delay, there are things you will never be able to catch on. Yeah, so to wrap those up, because they can be a bit taxing, is to say that what I've come to see is that you can categorize the support systems and the interventions into three. So you will have medical interventions and support systems, which have now those are physical and the medics,
Yeah.
Then you have the social interventions. So that's the OT. And when I talk about occupational therapy, I mean about just skills of daily living. Just things we take for granted, brushing teeth, going to the washroom, making the bed, knowing what to do when people are around, just social skills. And then the last one is the mental support, which now is intellectual disability.
Yeah.
So then you will need to engage special teachers and special education into it. So that's what it comes as a package. So in Holland, you can't run away from these things. And this is why maybe the public now will understand when we say, most of the times we as the parents here, we keep on saying that we need financial support, and they're wondering for what. Those are already like 5 doctors, professionals I mentioned to you, plus 6 plus special education teacher. Which typical Kenyan can afford those things with no help on things like subsidies? And the government doesn't even come in to do subsidies. You know what we get by registering our children with National Council of Persons with Disabilities? First thing we get is a card. And then we get, I think, 1,500 or 2,000 per child. I shall not say anything because I don't have very good words to say about it. So that is the intervention that we get. Now I'm trying to get to support. I'm still talking about support and who is supporting us. So that's the one thing that government does. Okay. The second thing it has promised us is something called inclusive education, which is still like smoke out there somewhere, that is yet to make a difference for any child. Because clearly, just being practical, let's talk about special education. Special education, just to be very, very bare minimum. Bare minimum, what do you need to make it happen for this child who has special needs in a school setup? Number one, very clear. We just need an accessible environment, right? What does that mean? Accessibility can come in two forms. One, accessibility, just physical accessibility. If the child is on a wheelchair, we will need ramps in school, we will need slabs, They'll be able to maneuver. They'll be able to have a washroom where they can maneuver with a wheelchair, right? They'll be able to attend class with a wheelchair, accessibility, right? If we have someone with challenges with their sight, what have you done with the environment, with their hearing? That's now physical accessibility, to be able to assess the education that is in that institution, right? The other form of accessibility is assessing the service, the education itself, right? What do I mean? Sign language teachers, because how will that child, okay, fine, the environment is okay, the child has come. So how now do you relay the syllabus to them if they're not hearing? Yeah, if they have challenges with their sight, if they have intellectual disability, right? So we need special need teachers to be trained and put in there, and systems also put in to be able to, so they can assess the syllabus. Yeah, and that syllabus, even as we talk, the last and final thing, that syllabus cannot be the typical syllabus, because I told you, we have our own lane, right? We have our own developmental stages, right? We have, look at autism. Autism does not mean the child does not understand, even Down syndrome. It just means they don't use the same pathway to understand 1 + 1. They use a different one to understand but they'll get it. But you need to put in the effort for them to get it, to use that other route, right? So what am I saying about the curricula? The curricula needs to be relevant. We can't have a curricula that says by the first year, the child should have been able to do this. That's ridiculous, And those are the things we're just asking for, But, I mean, vitu kwa ground ni different. If you go to public schools, man, there's no special education that can happen right now, The only special education that we can access is the private schools, because at least them, they try and put in this essential things that are necessary to make it meaningful, right? But again, what are we talking about again? Finances, right? So it's really challenging. It's very challenging. So that's just that part of support. Who else supports us? So we get support from NGOs and organizations, and without them, I can clearly and confidently tell you, we'll be in such a bad place as parents and together with our children in terms of therapies, without these NGOs and organizations, because therapies are so expensive. Back 15 years ago, when I told you I started doing all those therapies, I mean, I was doing 3 days in a week. 3 days in a week, here I am, I'm trying to start a small biashara. Sasa 3 days in a week, surely, ni biashara gani utaanza? What will you do? And 3 days in a week again, because I can't start this venture, how am I going to pay for the 3 sessions? A session back then, it was 15 years ago, it was like 4,000. Nowadays, even nothing has switched. It's still like 4,000, 3,000, 4,000 a session, an hour. And you do 3-4 of those in a week. So that's crazy. So the NGOs come in, they subsidize these charges, we pay almost nothing. And sometimes even they are free ones. So even networking for parents in our space is very key. Because when you network, then you get to know where these places are. And the earlier you start doing these things, I told you, with these children, the better for them. There's a phrase we use when I do these support groups for parents, which we say, mapema ndio best in this space. The earlier you can start doing these interventions, the better the outcome of that child. That's why you see some children, yes, they have challenges, but they have life skills, But others, you look at them and you say, Connie, what happened here? It's because the parent was not able to engage early enough, or again, they were not able also financially to do anything. And remember where we started. Maybe they are still mourning where? They are mourning that they are supposed to go to Italy. Hawajaanza jani ya kuzoea Holland. Still waiting there.
And I know I will request you, maybe if you'll be able to share your contact, where at least someone with a disabled child would want to maybe get the networking. But I want still to go back to the fact that to start with, you were scared about the whole situation, and you didn't know even who to talk to. And today you're talking about it publicly and you're not afraid of it. I'll ask this question because of the parent who is there, who is afraid of even letting people know what is happening. Did you at any point feel the urge to hide your child from even people knowing what is happening with your child? And how then did you come out now to say, well, let it be known this is it?
Yeah, definitely. We all start low. I started there, I started from that place. I told you I was crushed, I was angry. I was all alone in that space. I didn't want to let anyone inside, You took me back there. So here my wife is depressed. So I'm having even to take care of the child myself. What helped me, I can say that the one thing that God used to help me out of that place, because that's a hard place to even fish yourself out of, is church, right? So what happened is this for my case, is that the wife to my pastor then, I think she was doing a research paper or a PhD, something on what she was studying. And I think the research paper she was doing was on Down syndrome. What a coincidence. At the very time that I got to Maini. And at the very time that I do not want anyone daring to step into my space to talk to me about my child.
Yeah.
And that is the thing I need to caution also the community. Let me tell you, it's like a bomb. It's like I don't know what to tell you. It's like a place rigged with bombs. You're trying to step inside, trying to talk to a parent with a special child who is not ready for that conversation.
Okay.
It is not even not helpful. It will explode in your face, right? So that's where I was. So I was there. I don't want anyone stepping in. I don't want to hear anything. Even you, God, even you, I'm mad at you. Because how? Why me? So my pastor is doing the research paper. How she's already looked and seen, because she's doing the research paper. So she knows everything about Down syndrome. So she knows about the telltale signs. She knows everything. She's watching me. She's seeing my bubble. I do not even want to talk about it. She has dared to try, and I've told her, please, this is my space. So in her research, so she knows how to. So whatever she's studying, she decides to do this. She decides to do what? To share with me what she's studying. So she says, you know what? I have something for you. Just take this in your own time. If you want to dare to read, it's fine. If you don't, it's still fine. Okay? But I'm here. Okay? And that's the safest thing you can do with a parent who's struggling at that first place. Don't force, number one, don't force yourself inside their space.
Okay.
Number two, give them an option on a resource they can access. For her, she gave me the access to her research paper. Another resource can be, you can introduce someone to those networks you're saying I introduced. Then there is a network here, there's a group, they meet here. Here is a contact. When you're ready, those are the two most important things you can do. And just let them know, I'm here. I'm at a distance, but just know I'm here. That's what she did, and she walked away. And that's the thing that really helped me. Because when I started now understanding and seeing and discovering about Down syndrome, and 15 years ago, let me shock you. 15 years ago, Google was nothing what it is today. It had 15 years less of the information it has today. Have you ever thought of that? Yeah, because it keeps adding, right?
Yeah.
So even then, trying to fish and research for things was not like today. So you can just go click, and today you see like a zillion things about Down syndrome.
Yeah.
So I got in there. I got to find out what it's about. And let me tell you something that also opened up my mind. Is that you only fear the thing that you don't know. This is practical. This is very practical. In the night, we fear the dark. Why? Because you don't know what's lurking in the dark. All right?
Yeah.
If you knew what was in the dark, you'll not be as scared.
Yeah.
Because even if it's a lion that was there, then you will know, you'll have a plan.
Yeah.
Either sitafungua mlango, ama I'll hang on the ceiling. You'll do something.
Yeah.
But when you have no clue, even the strongest man will be scared, right?
True.
But the moment you get any information about what's going on and about the condition and about Down syndrome, then the fear starts going lower. So the more you know, the more the fear goes down.
Okay.
And the more now you start accepting. You had this term that's thrown around loosely at the acceptance in this space of this. When you have difficulties, accept. This one has not accepted the journey to acceptance. The They're just trying to say, listen, you just need to accept that you're not in Italy. You're in? Just accept to Kuapa Holland so that we carry on with life. Right? Yeah. But even that acceptance, it's a process. And the process begins with information. Okay. And this is very big. This is one of the biggest things I throw out when we do support groups. That information changes so many things. And that's the key to everything. Even the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So what you do not know will kill you. Okay. Even in this space, what you don't know kills you, literally. So that's how I got in. I got information, started freeing me. I started feeling, hey, I'm understanding this thing. Oh, this thing goes like, and the more you understand it, the more you just start accepting Holland. Yeah. You know, because what the research does is it takes you to a place in Holland and you find out, oh, even they have a beach also. Nice. It takes you to another place, you find, oh, they have nice hotels too. You know, so you get to find out and to know. So that's the thing that opened me up and helped me out of that murky place. But the second most important thing that then followed that really rescued me, kabisa, is now I was able now to open up and let myself and be vulnerable a bit, but not to everybody, just to a group. So I found a group of parents, a support group, and I joined, and we started talking with men who are walking the same journey, and this was heaven for me. Okay. You know, this was now the real heaven. Okay. Because that space, no medic can fill that place, however much they try to explain to me the medical condition. No pastor praying for me. And bringing intercessors in the house. No family will try to show me love. However much love they try to show me, it won't work. But this man who's walking the same path that I'm walking, that's the guy. That's my key. That's my answer. And that's how I got out of it. Wow. And that's how I got the courage to now stand up and be able to even talk about it. But the other thing that motivated me more to stand up even better is the realization that I got to find out that I'm the gatekeeper to Tumaini. Okay. That I had no choice. Life had already chosen me to be her advocate. I mean, who else is going to tell her? Who's going to stand in for her? You know? What's going to happen to her life if I'm not the one who's... And just a small tidbit, in the journey to education for Tumaini, when I tried out education for her in schools, from the very beginning, from the very get-go, I always wanted an inclusion setup. I did not want a special setup for her, you know, like an eggshell. I wanted her to come and see what life is, get used to what life is, because this is what life is. There's no special world for you. So I always wanted her to be in a place where she could be able to nurture those skills. Yeah. And so we threw her into a school. 2 schools, 3 schools, because they're not working. Okay. We left her in a school where she was physically abused by the teacher. Wow. One day she came home, she has scratches on her cheeks, and we think, it's kids. Maybe some other kid scratched her, so it's okay. Let's go back. So she went back. The next day she came back with more scratches. And so now I went to school and I wanted to find out, and I did not want to find out with very good words. You can imagine. So I got in there, we got into that thing until now the head teacher found out it was the class teacher that was pinching her. Oh no. And she was pinching her because what? She's not getting it. She's not understanding. She's not talking. It broke my heart. Breaks my heart till today. But today I can say I forgave her and I can say I understand, because it also takes a professional to be able to deal with that child in school. Yeah. You know, because it also takes some patience. It takes you to know how to go around it. Yeah, but just to say that it is not I was forced to be her advocate, you see, from very early on. So you don't even choose. So when I realized that I'm already an advocate for her, I mean, I stepped up to the plate, you know, and I realized, oh, kumbe, if I don't, no one else will. So I have to step out for Tumaini. I can't sit back, you know, that's number 1. Number 2, my fellow parents are over here. I have a journey of 15 years. I can help someone. I will stand up, you know, I will help this guy. If my story is going to help them, and I stand up, you know, and finally, who am I, surely? I mean, God has told me, you will walk through these things, but I'm with you, you know. So and he gets me walking, and so I walk, and I'm here saying I'm an inclusion advocate. I have to stand up and be a voice to these people that I'm saying are voiceless. So it gives me motivation. And why lie? The last reason why I do this is selfish, because I get encouraged.
Okay.
I told you, when I go and I see parents, and some of them are going through such hard things, and they're still standing, and they're still fighting for their children and fighting for their families. And I see these heroes of parents in society. Man, they encourage me so much. So I also really gain from it.
Wow. Yeah. And I like that space. You didn't condemn this parent who is feeling like hiding their children. I feel like you're just encouraging them. It's okay to have that feeling.
It's a process.
It's okay. It's a process. You're in that stage, and now you're advising them now how to come out of this place, get information, get psychosocial groups who you're able to interact with, get people who are able to understand you. And again, a challenge to school, because school teachers, because I've also experienced this. And I don't know why it's David's story, and I'm getting more emotional than he is. It reminds me, there was a parent who took her child to school, and the teacher also mistreated the child. And when the parent was complaining, on her face, the parent is saying, in fact, your child is supposed to be in a special school. This is not a child to be in our school. And I'm like, who tells a parent that? So I'm imagining how the parent felt, one, and also the child who is hearing what the mother is being told by the teacher. And I feel like, something needs to be done in our systems.
It really does. And that's why the phrase I use, I like saying that, acceptance is inviting that child with a disability to the party. That is acceptance. You've accepted for them to come. You've opened your doors for them to come to the party.
Okay.
But what we fight for is called inclusion. What we push and advocate for is inclusion. So while acceptance is opening the door and sending them the invite to the party, inclusion is creating an atmosphere that invites them in to come and join you in the dance.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because you can be invited to a party and you're just put in a corner.
True.
But inclusion is now when you can actually, there's accessibility. If you're on a wheelchair, the dance floor is safe enough for you to come and move with your wheelchair. If you cannot, you have challenges with something, they have interventions to meet you there. You can dance with them, even if the pace is not the same. They are willing to go at your pace and include you.
Maybe you need to advise us on this one, because I must confess, at times, David, we are a bit lost if you have not interacted with these people with special needs. When you see them maybe somewhere, maybe even it's an event, let's say you've come to a wedding with your child, and I'm wondering, okay, I'm feeling like they are so delicate. I'm wondering if I try this with this child, maybe you need to.
I get you. I so get you. I understand you. And I'm glad you're on the right path. Because now, you see those questions you're asking yourself? That is the first nice step you're taking. That's the right step you're taking. You're wondering, okay, what do I do? They look like eggshells. Will I offend them? What do they need? You know, do I pick you up? What do I do? You're perfect. Step number 2. You've already done step number 1. Step number 2. Do not think you know what they need.
Okay.
Ask.
Okay.
Ask. That is, you can never go wrong with asking. You know, persons with disabilities, they're just like you and me. They have feelings. They like to have friends. They like to have fun. And then they just like to be included in life. You know, those are the 4 things that anyone wants. And even then, they just want the same things. They just call special needs. The person, let me correct something. There's something we call inclusive language, right? And the reason why language is very important, it forms our attitudes about others and about things. So, for instance, persons with special needs, English class, simple English class, 101, persons with special needs. the special. What is describing? What does the special describe? Person with special needs. The special is describing the person or the need? It is describing the need. It is the special need. It is not the special person. The person is not special. Meaning, just to be fair, the person is just like you and me. Even my child, Tumaini, is no more special than your child. They're just not. See, I'm busy saying and advocating and saying they are normal people who have feelings, who like friends, who have fun, who want to be included. Yeah. So that's just a typical child. Yeah. That's a typical person. Meaning there's a person first. That's Tumaini. Yeah. Okay? When we're talking about Tumaini, every human being has needs. Okay? Yeah. They're just different. Yeah. Right? Every child has needs. So Tumaini's needs, because she has Down syndrome, are not as commonplace as other needs. Because again, the prevalence of Down syndrome is between 1 in 800 to 1 in 1,000. Okay. So you can clearly see, so Down syndrome population will not be, that's not the typical, that's not the normal, that's what people use, yeah? Yeah. So even when I'm talking about language, we don't say normal, we say typical. Because normal, again, who said it is normal? Because 10 people out of 12 are thieves, yeah? Right. See, they are the most people in that group. Yeah. So will we say so it is a normal thing to be a thief? No. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It is not. Yeah. But it is, you see, it's typical. It's typical out of that group. Typically, most of the people in that group are thieves. But it is not a normal thing to be a thief. Yeah. So it is, you can't even refer to a child as this one is normal, this one is not normal. It's typical, right? Because everyone has needs. It's just that your needs are different from my needs. Now, because Tumaini having Down syndrome is a smaller percentage, right? So her needs are referred to as special needs. Number one, because they are not as commonplace as the typical needs, because everyone has needs. Yeah. And number two, they're also special in the sense that they're also unique, you know, like now the one for intellectual disability. It is not just less in terms of quantity. It is also unique in terms of you will need a professional to be able to decipher how to make her understand 2 plus 2. Yeah. So now it also makes it special. Yeah, so when we say about special, that's what special means. Never tie the special to the person. We are all people, so we are all okay. Yeah. Even special even parents to special children, I tell them our children are not special because some of us now we end up saying, hey, my child is more special than yours. And that stereotype is heightened by society. They keep saying, hey, you know, you have an angel, you know, God sent you, you are a special parent even more than us because you also have a special child more than our children. Nah, is so how the English is playing out. It is the need that is special. Yeah. Wow. But the child is not, so we should all have what that is called, something that is not very nice. It's called a euphemism. A euphemism is when you're referring to something that is usually derogatory or negative, trying to make it sound better, to cover it, to soften the blow. I'm sorry to use this example, like going to using why do you say the washroom? What is it, a washroom? You see, it is a nice way, it is a diplomatic way of calling something that you don't want to call what it is, right? Yeah. So special, the child also is being called special, but meaning what? And not special. Yeah. Yeah. The room is being called the washroom, while it is the last thing from a washroom. So these euphemisms are not very good. Okay? Yeah. And that language also makes a lot of difference. And just before I wind up on the language, something that is very key. When you refer to a person with special needs, because you asked me how do you relate to these people? Yeah, yeah. When you're referring to someone with a condition, I hear people saying and calling, let's assume someone has autism. And you hear someone saying, that boy, that autistic boy. That Down syndrome girl. Okay, Susie, when you get a cold, so does your friend or your husband, does he say, that coughing wife, that coughing girl, does anyone say, you know what you're doing? And that's where the attitude comes in. You're placing the condition or the sickness ahead of the person. There's a person first who is not feeling well. There's a person first who has a challenge, a disability. So there's a person. That's what we miss out.
Yeah.
So there's a person called Tumaini. Call her Tumaini, like you call Susie, right? Why are you then starting with the sickness? Now, in the marketplace, people know that person as the one who has Down syndrome.
Yeah, true.
Instead of Tumaini.
Yeah.
That is devaluing the person.
True.
That is demeaning. That hurts me.
Wow.
And that's language you need to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. We are getting wiser and every day is an opportunity to learn, guys. I think we are all learning. I think most of us, or maybe rather all of us, we have made these mistakes once in a while, and maybe lack of knowledge, as you say.
It's allowed.
Get to know it. Now, when you know it, you do it better. Don't sit down and repeat the same mistake as David is helping us to learn. Because like today, me have picked something on not feeling like this person is a special person. This person is just a normal human being like me. The way I would just socialize with a stranger here I've met in a party, I want to socialize with them. The only thing I need maybe to be sensitive about is their special need that maybe I would be keen to observe. Wow. Do you think marriages go through tough time when you have a special child?
Oh, definitely. Like I clearly, let's just speak up from my story. I told you my wife went into depression. I told you how I felt about that. And I started being resentful. And it created a ridge between us. And just to say, in a normal, typical, not normal marriage, from here on, it's typical. Nothing is normal. A typical marriage has challenges. Whose marriage doesn't have any challenges? Unless you're a liar. Every marriage has challenges. Now, that's a typical marriage. Now you bring in a child with disabilities, and with let's take a situation like mine. So now, already without the child, we had normal challenge, typical challenges that we have as in a marriage, and then now you compound them with the child. So the child comes in. For me, it was that misunderstanding. It was that depression that came in. I thought the mom now, which kind of mother is this? I'd rather even marry someone else. I'd rather get even a stepmom who loves the child. But I'm just not getting it. But there was just a compounding of the problem. Okay, that's one type of problem. Another type of problem that comes up in our setup is mostly it's to do with communication. And communication, why? The why is the important thing to discuss. It is because even while we both land in Holland, we were two people going to Italy. Both of us land in Holland. When we find ourselves in a new place, we do not react the same way. We are still two different people, right? So, by the way, funny thing, my wife is also called Susie, but I call her Sue. So Sue will react differently, and I will react differently. So she'll be on her own path of just trying to decipher and just need this new place we're in, and I'll be on my own. You understand? Because we're two individuals, and that definitely clearly brings out now a ridge. If there's no good communication, if there's no understanding and awareness of that path and what happens, it will definitely create a ridge. And that plays out automatically in our setup. Okay? Because I'm wondering, we've had this child for 3 years. Why is she still ninning here? How much she doesn't want this child or this marriage? But kumbe her journey to acceptance is not as fast as yours. Because we all walk in different journeys. So there's always a challenge. There's always myriads of challenges. And to wind up is to say that research has shown that the rate of divorce is very high when you bring in a child with a disability in a marriage setup. And it's not just high, it goes as high as between 87 and 90%.
It's quite high.
So it is that, but there's a lot of, and what does that do? It automatically now compounds another problem, which is financial need. Because two people means maybe two incomes, and the child needs a lot of finances. Two incomes help. When one walks away, one parent is left to not even have half the income to decide, will I go to work or will I be the caregiver? And if I get a caregiver, I will need to pay, and I'll need all these other interventions. And you know what happens? Most, I know, I'm not guessing, I know parents who started off well off, but you go on tightening your belt until you find yourself at the bottom of society, in poverty, because you're torn between, you can't also take all your time to go and fend for money because you still have to attend to the child. So it's a cycle. It's a very bad cycle. Yeah.
Wow, guys, this kind of a testimony is really deep, and I love it that it is actually coming from a man who is sharing the reality as it is, because I want to believe, I don't know whether I am biased, but because you are here, you have talked of research, why do I feel like most of these children who has been left with one child, it is in the hands of the mother, because it is easier for the father to think, Muriferan.
But you're correct. You're not on the opposite side of what I'm saying. I just said that the divorce rate is higher, but now you are now coming to fill in and say why. You've gone in deeper to say that the stones are being received very well. That the man is the one who usually takes off. And unfortunately, you are right. You're very right. It is the man who usually takes off.
Wow.
In 99%, it is the man. Yes.
Now, I know you've already told us as a society where we come in. Maybe we want to support the child themselves, and also you have really given us very clear way of helping, that we do not force ourselves in the space until the person maybe invites the help. You don't feel like, I am a prayer warrior, so I'll be going there. I want to hold David's hand and Susan hands with prayer. But I'm also wondering, where is our space now as a society to support you as a family when you're going through this? Where are we supposed to come in now when your wife is going through depression? And maybe lastly, I would also want you to tell us, did you have any fear to try getting a second child, with the fear like, what if this happens?
I see you're really getting into my business.
It's because I want someone.
No. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's nice. That was a tough one. And I've talked to many couples with a first child with a disability. And the issue of getting the second child is always a big deal. I mean, clearly, because you're wondering now, do I bring another child into this world also who's like this? Number one. And number two, am I going to be able to support another one? Because I've already told you how even one takes a whole team to just support one child. So you're wondering, am I going to be able to do this again? You know? So it's usually a very slippery hill. Yeah. So all I can share is my journey and what the decisions we made. So what we did, because for Down syndrome, like I told you, it's a genetical disorder, like I showed you. So there's clearly nothing you can do about it. Yeah. Even the things I said we can do about it is just finding out if it's there. It's not doing anything to. The only thing we say in Down syndrome you can do is when we talk about the prevalence, and then the prevalence I told you is between like 1 to 800 or 1,000. The thing that follows that is to say that science then and research data shows that the older the parents, the more prone they are to getting a child with Down syndrome. But I think even that, for a layman, you don't need to understand. It's not rocket science, because the older we get, you can imagine then the sperms and the eggs are not as the quality of, I'm sure, Dr. Susie Dr. Susie can expound more that the age also is a factor. But then I will also go and say that for Down syndrome, the maternal age, if you now follow that rabbit hole, the maternal age is a bigger factor. than the paternal one.
Yeah.
Okay, so the mother.
Okay.
But again, so that we also understand that it is not just about age. What the research shows is that it is higher. It is like 1 in 800 there. One in when you break it down again more, the prevalence there is higher for an older couple or a mother.
Yeah.
But when it comes to younger couples, it is less. Okay, but it is still there. It's still present. That's what I want to capture, because I can imagine. I think my wife was 28, and I was still like maybe 31 thereabouts when we got to Miami. Yeah. So you can see a younger couple can still get it, but the occurrence there is very very low.
Yeah.
But now with age is what we need. That's the only thing you can do about Down syndrome. Okay. So back to what you asked. So the second child. So the second child for us was, let's just look at this logically. It's genetic. What can we do? Nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing better we can do for the second child. Okay. What is the chance, Daktari, of getting another one? Because you got the first one, you have 50% of getting the second one, or slightly lower than 50%. Okay. So is there anything better we can do? No. So I got as much information as I could.
Yeah.
And then I logically just said, you know what, even it is God who gave us this first one. Okay.
Yeah.
What has it done for me? Because you can imagine this journey I'm talking to you about of depression and me trying to get over it, and getting the first taste of Holland. This is happening in 7 years since we got to Miami. Because within that space, you're not even thinking of another child. Life is lifing. So by the time now you're saying, okay, space has become too much. Will you ever get another child? Because again, we don't want the space to be. So the conversation is starting at like 6 years, 6-7 years. Okay. So I just went and said, you know what? Can I now just make a judgment call on my past 6 years that I've been to Miami, that I've been in Holland? Has Holland shown me enough good things to want me to stay in Holland, to choose now Holland instead of finding myself here?
Yeah.
So I looked back and tell you what, there's so many positives, in Holland.
Okay.
This child literally just pours out joy in the home, you know. And the one thing with Down syndrome is they're almost called like the joy factor in life, because they're like fun to be around. They like enjoy life. They're like super loving, and then they're super sensitive to loving.
Okay.
Like they will get so emotional if someone is hurt, if you're going through something. Like they're so caring and so empathetic, you know. And she has all these plus things in Holland, man. I was like, what? I don't mind doing another round in Holland.
Okay.
You know, so if we get another child, I am game, God. I'm okay, and I'm not going to get mad again.
Okay.
And this journey of 6 years has proven to me, you know what? I'm not here for sympathy. For this is a winning story. This is a winning journey. We are okay.
Yeah.
You know, what you've shown me is that life, man made his own rules and said, this is the journey. This is the only road to Mombasa. Every human being follows this road. What you have done for me in the 6 years is told me, you know what? You can still get to Mombasa, but guess what? You can pass through the national park. It will take longer, but there are many things to see. And that's what I do with Tumaini. She takes my hand and she shows me many things. I will not reach there the next morning when you guys got there.
Yeah.
But I will reach there. But it is worth this detour that she takes me on.
Wow.
So I was very ready to try. And we were easy. And it settled us. And we were so ready. And we said, God, if we get a second one, Down syndrome, amen. Let's do this. Let's do life, you know. And I tell parents, you know what? Just accept it. Just stop thinking about Italy. Embrace where you are. We're not accepting that we have been defeated by this thing. That's not my story. My story is not accepting that now we are parents to these children, we are stuck, the finances are so much, the government is not doing this thing, society has all these things weighing on us. No, my story is, here I am, in spite of all that, life is happening. There are
yeah.
flowers here, you know. God is working with us, you know. I have learned so many things I'll not have learned if I took the highway to Mombasa that everyone takes. I wouldn't. There's so many things I've learned. So that's the story. That life's still happening. As Christians, God tells us, you know what? I'm not sheltering you from these things. I'm just being with you. And the minute you find yourself that it happened for you and you got into this junction to getting this child, I will meet you there. I will meet you there and we'll still enjoy our life.
Wow. Wow, what a beautiful story. Patia Susan salamu zangu.
I will.
And maybe you want to share your contacts for someone who may want to reach you.
Yeah. Before I share my contacts, I also just like to say here on, though my wife Susan began off depressed, she didn't choose that. You know, that's where she started from. I started from my own place. That's not where she's at today. You know, she has learned from it. She has come out of it. She has been a strong support. My family and my friends are a big support, and they should be for any parent. Okay, so those are the people we need to rope in. So my contacts 0717 560 500. 0717 500 560 500. That's where you can reach me on. I am available. Men, come, let's sit together with fellow men who walk the same path. And we can make this thing happen. We can make Holland fun.
Beautiful. Hey, I hope men you receive this call because I would love to see men who are embracing their families regardless of the challenges. She's going through infertility. Sorry, she's going through infertility. Be there for her. Start with her. You have just landed in Holland. Please remember you have landed, both of you. She never told the pilot this is where we are coming. Even her, she just found herself into that space. And so there is a good way. And I also love that even in the midst of challenges, there are flowers everywhere. You are able to pluck whatever you want and the smell that you want to experience, because David is giving us his story. And I love this because I have always said that I believe this is a ministry that God called me for, to tell a story that people tell when they are crying, but we tell it when we are smiling. Why do we do so? Because we have seen how God is able to rescue us from any form of pain and to cause us smile regardless of any challenge that you're going through in life. So you're there and you're wondering, why did God choose me? Why me? Why me? Who else was it supposed to be? God decided it was you. So just embrace it. Tutafute manguo za Holland. Wow, that's a new. We adopt that. Have you subscribed to Suzy Ledadam? Please do so if you haven't. And also, you may not be the one. You may feel like this message is not yours because probably you're not experiencing this, but you don't know who else needs to hear this. So kindly share this information. Let someone else also hear what you have heard. For now, bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for having me.